We were 10 and we were in year 4.
You're so young.
Yeah,
and
we
it
were
was
tiny.
the bilingual class.
Yeah.
With Dahlia.
Yeah. Dahlia and Sunny.
I can actually see the kids coming down from the theaterette in my mind now. And as we're walking back to class, the kids are talking amongst themselves and I catch snippets, and my co-teacher, Sonny Levinson, we catch snippets of, wow, what an amazing thing the kids have done with the paper clips. And as we approach class, the conversation continues growing and more kids get involved, and it has become a class discussion.
I just remember watching the Paper Clips movie, that happened in America, and then we kind of wanted to do something like that, but obviously not all 6 million, so we decided on children to focus on that. So, yeah, and then it was just a matter of coming up with how to represent them.
Maybe we should collect buttons, because buttons come in different shapes, different sizes, different materials, different colours. And just like, you know, children in a family are the glue, buttons hold together a garment. We had the local newspaper come in, people were talking, we had other schools involved, survivors coming in and talk to us, but it did fade away. After a couple of years, it's sort of like buttons were coming, but here and there.
We'd been going for 9 years, and we had estimated that we had about 700,000 buttons over that period of time. And if we wanted to open up an installation, we had to double that collection. So the only way to do that really was to make a hullabaloo about the project and start a Facebook page and get people involved. And the first step was to involve the students, because they were always involved from the very beginning in creating and conceptualizing this whole project.
What we'd like you to do is take 2 boxes each and to find places in the community that will put the button collection box in their shop or their library or their community centre.
It's spread around Australia, internationally, and we're able to see that whole process. Looking back,
the school really got around the project, and I think that all together as a community, we worked together to really build up the project, and I think that all the support really helped throughout the entire time. We decided that it was a good idea to have containers with the amount of buttons inside representing the amount of children who perished in the Holocaust, and each cylinder representing each country. And then over time, the cylinders became rectangular prisms, which they are today.
I was delighted when my grandchildren came home, different grandchildren over a period of a number of years, and talked about the Button Project. I saw it as an opportunity to talk about the difficulties Jewish people had during the war, and the simple way of reminding people about that and showing young people just what a large number looked like, by telling my friends, my non-Jewish friends, that my grandchildren rather, were collecting buttons, explained the projects, and I can't think of a single friend who didn't come and bring some buttons.
Well, I think it's a really tangible way of showing how many kids died. You throw these numbers around, 6 million, 1.5 million in classes, but I don't think you really understand how many that is. And then you go and you look at all these buttons, you can really see how big 1.5 million really is.
People started sending in buttons from all over the world, even from France, from Russia, from America, New Zealand, and the whole of Australia. We got deliveries from farmers in rural Australia. And then a few people really took this project to heart. And one of them, for example, was a lady in Queensland, northern Queensland in Australia, a lady named Carolyn. She got together a group of 80 people. They went to all these various op shops. She drove down, it's a 10-hour drive, to deliver 90,000 buttons to us. another lady, her name is Violetta, she wanted to find out what happened to her village that she was born in. So she researched and she discovered that during World War II, 1,380 children were deported from her village. So she researched further and she got their names, their date of birth, and she ended up writing on each individual button or sewing it onto a piece of cloth the name and the date of birth of every child, so that those wouldn't just be buttons in her view, they would actually be a memorial to a specific individual child. And she delivered to this project 1,380 handwritten buttons. So I think that was one of the most incredible things about this project, was how it touched people's hearts and connected so many people from various walks of life.
We've collected so many buttons, but with the buttons have come letters and postcards and explanations, and we've done a book of highlights of those. And so many people have rediscovered or discovered part of their own heritage through this that they had no knowledge of or understanding of before.
When we reached November, December last year, we realized we were 200,000 buttons short. And I mentioned that to Carolyn. She said, there's no ways that we're not going to meet this target. So she went back out, she galvanized her friends, and they counted and collected for 6 weeks. She had blisters on her fingers from de-threading buttons. And then she drove back down to Bialik to deliver another 200,000 buttons. And we reached our target 1 week before opening.
A lot of the survivors that are still alive were child survivors. So it was their generation that's represented by the buttons.
Come with me back to the 1939 and see me as a young schoolboy. We went from a beautiful life with a secure future to total uncertainty, to nothing. We instantly became homeless and destitute refugees. Please make sure that the memory of the Holocaust will pass from generation to generation.
The button project really spoke to me because when I saw the number of buttons in the Belgian thing, I said to a couple of people, there's a button missing and that's mine, because I really should not have survived. But I did.
And that's me and my sister in the war. I was 4 years old and my sister was 8 years old. We were picked up by Red Cross and they took us to Russia. We didn't have food, nobody looked after us. And then some Red Cross came again, picked us up and put us in orphanages with hundreds of people. But my sister and me were the only Jewish people. And we have to keep talking to ourselves because we were two little girls that we're Jewish. And how do we remember? Because the parents, we remember that they were speaking Yiddish and they kept a kosher house. That we reminded ourselves all the time. We were there till the war finished.
My fourth year at primary, I get a tap on the shoulder. The principal wants to see you. So I was quite frightened. I asked, what have I done? What have I done? She wouldn't tell me. Took me up to his office. I sit down with her. I'm 8 years old. And he had a huge desk. I remember he's sitting, a very imposing man, telling me that I'm no longer allowed to come to school. And I asked, what have I done? Your parents will tell you. And the teacher was sitting next to me on my right. And I said, say something, help me. But she didn't move a muscle. I did see a tear sort of rolling down, from her left eye, obviously. But she didn't utter a word, got up, took me downstairs to the class, didn't let me back into the classroom, went in, took my jacket and school bag, took me to the front door, and that was it.
I think when you look back over the project and over the last year in particular, the connections that were made between people with stories, sharing ideas and sharing the feeling that it shouldn't have happened, and an empathy that's gone through society, Jewish, non-Jewish, the number of schools and universities that contributed, non-denominational schools, Christian or Jewish, it didn't matter. It was just the feeling that we wanted to help create this memorial because this is something that shouldn't have happened and should never happen.
I'll always put my hand up to aid any continuation process of the project because I sort of feel responsible for it. I do feel responsible for it. I'm sure Tia and Leah feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we would have done it if we weren't passionate. And that passion turns into a sense of responsibility. Once it's finished, you have to tell the story. And I don't think we're ever going to lose that.
The buttons present lives of 1.5 million children who perished. They were cut off of their life for no other reason because they were born Jews. That's true. Who can imagine what those children would achieve in life, what they could give to the world? How many books I would have written, piece of art I would discover, all the discoveries I would have done for the world. And they were taken away, cut off so short with their life. It's incomprehensible, the horror, what happened. A madman, a madman.
I've been